In February 2026, a YouTube video titled "I Exposed New Jersey's Jewish Invasion" exploded across the internet. It racked up 25 million views in 4 days, it got its creators banned from multiple platforms, and it ignited a national debate about anti-Semitism, media responsibility, and investigative journalism. The creator, Tyler Oliveira, walked the streets of Lakewood, New Jersey, interviewing residents digging deeper into possible welfare fraud. But here's what he missed, and what nobody else has reported. There is real financial fraud connected to Lakewood. Hundreds of millions of dollars of it. It's documented in federal court records, it's confirmed by government data, and it has nothing to do with welfare. It's Medicare fraud, and we found evidence it's possibly still happening right now. To understand the story, you need to understand Lakewood. Lakewood, New Jersey is one of the fastest growing cities of America. In 1980, it had 38,000 residents. Today, that number is approaching 142,000, nearly 4 times as many people in 4 decades. That growth is almost entirely driven by one community, Orthodox Jews, who now make up roughly 70% of the township's population. It's a community defined by religious devotion, large families, and relative economic modesty, at least on paper. And it has become a magnet for controversy. Tensions with neighboring towns over zoning, school funding, and development have simmered for years. But while the internet was arguing about anti-Semitism and street confrontations, we were looking at something far more specific, something documented in federal indictments, court records, and government databases that anyone can access. We were looking at Medicare fraud. Medicare is the federal health insurance program for Americans over 65 and certain disabled individuals. In 2023, Medicare paid out over $900 billion in claims. The program runs largely on the honor system. A doctor, supplier, or agency submits a claim saying they provided a service or product. Medicare pays. There's no inspector at every transaction verifying the equipment was delivered, the visit happened, or the patient actually needed the procedure. The gap between the claim submitted and the service verified is where fraud lives. And in Lakewood, a specific type of Medicare fraud has been running for over 15 years, and it involves 3 players. Player 1 is the marketing machine. Telemarketers who cold call Medicare patients offering them free back braces, knee braces, shoulder braces. The patient says yes, and a prescription gets pre-filled. Player 2 is the telemedicine doctor, a physician often hundreds of miles away who signs a prescription, sometimes without ever speaking to the patient, for a cut of the billing. Player 3 is the DME supplier, a durable medical equipment company that ships the brace, bills Medicare thousands of dollars, and splits the proceeds. The brace might be worth $20, but Medicare gets billed $900. Multiply that by thousands of patients, and you have a scheme worth tens of millions of dollars. And Lakewood, New Jersey has been the home base for some of the biggest DME fraud schemes in American history. In 2021, Alexander Schleider of Lakewood pleaded guilty to a $21.7 million Medicare fraud scheme. He owned and operated DME companies providing orthotic braces to patients without regard to medical necessity, using kickbacks to marketing call centers and telemedicine companies to generate fraudulent prescriptions. That same year, Aaron Williamsky and Nadia Levit, also connected to the Lakewood DME network, pleaded guilty to running approximately 25 DME companies that paid kickbacks for medically unnecessary braces. Williamsky's fraud exceeded $170 million. Levit's exceeded $120 million. We're talking about hundreds of million dollars, multiple prosecutions, and years of enforcement. Here's the thing. After every prosecution, this ecosystem is just regenerated. New companies, new operators, all within the same Lakewood zip code. So we decided to look at the data ourselves. Using the publicly available Medicare billing data from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the same data the government publishes every year, we analyzed every durable medical equipment supplier in New Jersey in the year of 2023. What we found was interesting, to say the least. In the zip code 08701, Lakewood, 19 DME suppliers collected $33.7 million in Medicare payments alone in 2023. That's one zip code that captured 17% of all DME Medicare spending in the entire state of New Jersey. But the dollar amounts aren't even the most interesting part. What we found was among the 19 Lakewood DME suppliers is a company called Silvercare Custom Wheelchair Specialist. In 2023, Silvercare collected $3.45 million from Medicare for custom wheelchairs, serving just 329 patients. That works out to over $10,000 per patient. This is the highest per patient billing rate of any wheelchair supplier in New Jersey. Now here's where it gets interesting. Silvercare's owner, Abraham Ellenson, also owns a second company registered at the same exact address, 419 East County Line Road, Lakewood. That company is called Medassist USA, LLC. What does Medassist do? Well, according to their own filings, they're a case management agency. Their stated purpose is to identify patients in need of medical services and connect them to, quote-unquote, a network of preferred providers. So, in theory, one company finds the patient, the other company sells them $10,000 wheelchairs, the same owner at the same address. Under federal law, specifically the anti-kickback statute, referring patients to a medical supplier you own is illegal. It's called self-referral. It's one of the most common and most prosecuted forms of Medicare fraud. We're not saying that fraud occurred here. We're saying that the structure is identical to schemes that have been prosecuted repeatedly in that same zip code for over a decade. The data we just analyzed is from 2023. After the Schleider conviction, after the Williamsky conviction, after hundreds of millions in proven fraud, money is still flowing all over the place. The government does have tools to address this. The HHS Office of Inspector General maintains a public exclusions database. Providers banned from Medicare billing. They run a fraud hotline. The Department of Justice conducts annual national healthcare fraud takedowns. In July 2025, 15 New Jersey defendants were charged as part of one such operation. But the data we analyzed suggested the enforcement hasn't matched the scale of the problem. $33.7 million from one zip code in a single year from suppliers operating in the exact ecosystem that has produced conviction after conviction is quite suspicious. If you're a Medicare patient, a healthcare worker, or anyone with knowledge of fraudulent billing, the HHS OIG fraud hotline is 1-800-HHS-TIPS. Lakewood is a community that grew from 38,000 people to 142,000 in 4 decades. A center of Jewish scholarship and religious life, a community navigating tensions with neighbors. The real financial story of Lakewood isn't just about welfare or zoning or quote-unquote invasions. It's about a sophisticated, documented, and persistent Medicare fraud ecosystem that has cost American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars and shows no signs of stopping.